Thank you very much for this kind and personal introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon. I hope you're having a good time in my hometown here in Amsterdam. And ready for a story, and not a story from a confused philosopher or from a nutty professor, but from a former businessman. And relevant for you to know is that I was the chair of an impact fund from 2000 to 2012, responsible for an investment of $8 billion to create a better world, sustainable energy, life science, green tech, clean tech, not in real estate. So I have to confess that's a lack in my experience, but I hope I will be able to give you a nice and relevant and also urgent message about the emerging future. One note up front: if you see any slide, text, or video you might use in your work or at the breakfast table at home, you don't have to memorize everything. Everybody will get a copy of the presentation. When the organization has your email address, you will get an email with a link and a password to download, not a PDF, but a PowerPoint, so it's very easy to copy-paste and use the material. More than 200 links to sources, books, TED videos, internet pages to find more information if you are interested. I would like to start with a colleague of mine, a philosopher, also a professor, called René ten Bos. He gives lectures philosophy at the Radboud University here in Nijmegen. And he was also for 2.5 years thinker of the nations in our country. He's a great thinker. Not only a great philosopher, but a great future thinker. And he wrote a fantastic book last year. And the book is called Wandering in the Anthropocene. And the Anthropocene is the era where we live in today. And as modest we are people, the Homo sapiens, we named this era after ourselves, like the Iron Time and other eras. The Anthropocene was also mentioned after us. And why is the Anthropocene, the era where we live in today, mentioned after us? Well, that's very simple to explain. The Anthropocene, the era where we live in today, is an era where we, the Homo sapiens, became an ecological power. There is no species on this earth who can say that they are an ecological power. And until, let's say, 20 years ago, we, the Homo sapiens, were not an ecological power at all. But since a year of 20, we became an ecological power. Why? Anybody an idea? That we became stronger than nature. And why? Because it seems, it's almost proven, that the Homo sapiens was capable to change climate on this planet. And if you can change climate on this planet, you are an ecological power. There are still some people in denial, but 98% of the climate scientists, those who are professionals to talk about climate, 98% has consensus that the 6th warming of our planet is caused by people and not by nature, as the 5th times before. 4 times we saw climate change on our planet in a couple of years, a huge increase of temperature caused by volcanoes, the eruptions of volcanoes. And that caused the extinction of 80% of life of this planet. 4 times. We were not here, so we couldn't cause it. We were not here as a species. 5th time, it was that the Earth was hit by an asteroid. And it killed the dinosaur and 90% of all life on our planet. But the 6th time, climate scientists are pretty sure that the 6th warming is caused by people, us. Not our grandfathers, this generation. 50% of all CO2 in the atmosphere is polluted the last 20 years. So it's caused by us. No doubts among 98% of the climate scientists around the world. René ten Bos, as a future thinker and also concerned about our race, our species, he said, we, Homo sapiens, are probably the most intelligent species on this planet. Why? Because we have the capability to upload knowledge, data, information, wisdom to the collective. And from the collective, we have the same capability to download it to an individual. We can even learn from people we don't know. There's no other species on this planet who can do so. So we are probably the most intelligent species on this planet. And then he is wondering, if we are so intelligent as a species, so wise, we have so much knowledge and information, how on earth is it possible with all this wisdom and intellect that we are destroying our only living environment that is available? What on earth is wrong with that species? He asked himself and us in this book. And he came to the conclusion the only species who will do so is a species who has no idea who she is. It's a species has no idea why she's here. And it is a species who has no idea where she's heading to. And why? Because if we know who we are, why we're here, and where we're heading to, we wouldn't do that. Do you agree? I add to it, it's probably a species who don't love their children. Otherwise, we won't do it. So, he thinks to get out of a swamp of total disorientation, he thinks that we are swimming in a swamp of total disorientation. No idea where A is, the moment where we live, where we're heading to, the B. He thinks that making a scenario from A to B, he calls that naive topography. Because we have no idea where A is and where we're heading to. And he gives us an advice, a tip, a suggestion. He says, to get out of this swamp of total disorientation, what we need to do is, one, to connect to the emerging future based on facts, instead of opinions and emotions from others who are transformed to the truth. And we should connect to our emerging self. And what is your emerging self? That is the answer to the question, what do I want to mean to other people until my last breath? The purpose, not the goals. The meaning, not your short-term key performance indicators. But of course you can say, well, this is from a philosopher, and philosophers always create more questions than they give answers. So look at the facts for those who are always interested in spreadsheets and key performance indicators. I give you some hard facts that will give you more feeling for what I'm trying to say. May I see the hands from the people who are familiar with the Earth Overshoot Day? May I see the people who are familiar with the Earth Overshoot Day? Look around, that's 10%, no more. For the 90%, I will give you an explanation of the Earth Overshoot Day. It's a day in the year, every year, which we reach with 8 billion people. And the Earth Overshoot Day is the day where we extract more natural resources from our planet than our planet can regenerate in 1 year. So that's where we damage our planet thoroughly, structurally. That's the Earth Overshoot Day. And the Earth Overshoot Day is also the day where we pollute more than the atmosphere, the continents, and the oceans can adopt. So that's where we start toxicizing our planet. So the World Overshoot Day is the day where we start destroying our planet. In 1971, it was the 28th of December, so was not too bad. Anybody an idea where it was in 2019? The Earth Overshoot Day, the day where we start destroying our only living environment. Any idea? 2019? June? March? January, sir, you are an optimist. 29 July, 8 billion people gets to the date on the 29th of July. Last year, we start destroying this planet. The Netherlands, I'm very proud to be Dutch, the Netherlands are at May the 4th. I agree. Any Americans? Don't raise your hand. 14th of March, the Americans. The Australians, 11th of March. So not even 1 quarter has passed, and these continents are working on destroying our only living environment. Is that a thing? Do you think that if we continue with that it might have impact in the near future on the value of real estate or stock quotes at the stock quote market? Any idea? No. So if you download the presentation, you will not only see the 29th of July, you can also see it per country. The number one, the best in the world, is Qatar, February the 11th. To summarize it, dear friends, if everybody in the world, 8 billion people, start living like the Dutch, we need 3 planets. If everybody start living like the Americans or the Australians, we need 5 planets. Are you with me? It's draconic. It's bizarre. It's inhuman. It's immoral. And here you see that the date is coming more to the front and to the front and to the front. And I see a lot of faces. My God, I didn't know that. Why didn't I read that in the papers? Well, this is known since 1972, the first report of the Club of Rome. So it's among us for more than 50 years. Oh no, most 50 years. So maybe read different papers. But to be more specific and more actual, we had a great conference in Davos 2 weeks ago. I was there for Unilever and DSM to give some presentations. And after the World Economic Forum, a fantastic report was written, the Global Risk Report 2020, defining all the great challenges and opportunities, but particularly all risks for the next 10, 20 years for people who love people, or for businessmen, or for real estate investors. So this is an extremely important report for your sector because it gives the opportunities but also the threats recognized by important people during the World Economic Forum. So let's see how much interested you are in your business and progressing your business to the near future. May I see the hands of the people who read this report? May I see the hands? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's amazing, eh? It's amazing. You know what is in the report? Something unique. Never happened before during the World Economic Forum. From the 10 biggest challenges, risks for us as a species and your business, for the first time that we are organizing a World Economic Forum, 8 out of 10 big challenges and risks are related to ecology, to the planet. Not to economy, not geopolitics, not technology. 8 of the biggest threats for your business is now related to our planet. Never happened before. That's also where the opportunities are, if you want to make money, to help the planet forward. And do you think it is nice to experience the fact that you can help the world and people and the planet getting progressed and make some money out of it? I think that is the best way to do investing, instead of destroying value to make some money. 8 out of 10 challenges, threats for your business is related to our planet, ecological threats. And in this slide from the World Economic Forum, you see how that is related. In 2007, we were very much concerned and talking about threats related to economy, blue. A little bit was social, a little bit was geopolitical. But look, the upper line, 2020, is all green. It's ecological. And of course, I believe that our biggest problem is not the crisis of climate change or biodiversity or natural resources or a social, economic lack of work or spiritual. I think that the biggest crisis for us, the Homo sapiens, is that our incapacity to deal with crisis, to solve real problems. We only talk about it, but we don't act. That is our biggest crisis. And why? Because we are no longer a Homo sapiens, we became an Homo economicus. We only think in welfare, making money, return on investment, have financial key performance indicators that measuring the return on investment for shareholders. But nobody, of course you are, but those people who are not here today, have a lack of key performance indicators who are measuring social and ecological progress. So why are we so interested in money only, in the goal instead of the meaning, the purpose? And the reason, according to René Bos, and I agree with that, is that we, the Homo sapiens, are terribly confused. We have no idea. We have no idea. Shall I give you 2 examples how confused we are? One, in our country, the Netherlands, we export as many bicycles as we import. Then you are confused. In England, they import as many potatoes as they export, and the same species. So they are confused too. But that's no news. Because to give it in a metaphor, when we are dealing with a rising ocean level, the sea level is rising, it is remarkable that people get back to independency on an island. But if you want to see the true problem we have, you see this in one picture. This is not adapted by Photoshop. It is shot in Venice, November last year, San Marco and the palace. And the problem is not Chinese women, it's deeper than that. We see the lack of leadership. We have more managers leading companies and countries than leaders, who are concerned that they are back during election in the chair of power instead of making the right decision. So it's a lack of leadership. But that is not what I mean. What I mean here, what the true problem is of us, the Homo sapiens, is that we buy things, even under ridiculous circumstances, we already have. We buy things we already have by 8 times. Then you are confused. Because it has also a footprint for the planet. If you buy things that you already have 8 times, why? We are confused. We are confused. We have no longer a good idea what the difference is between the meaning and the goal, the purpose and the goal. We have no idea. We confuse them all the time. So when we want to think about solutions, we first have to make a trip into ourselves, from our mind to our heart. It's stream up to the source. And ask ourselves the question, what is our relationship with nature? Are we Homo sapiens part of nature? Or are we the manager of nature? Or do we exploit nature? Well, in fact, we exploit nature. We made nature an instrument for our economies. But in fact, we are all nature. And if you are not aware that we humans are nature, you cannot relate in a proper way with our planet. And before you know, you make business more important than our planet. Which is, I think, not a very good idea. Because nature will continue without us as a species, but the other way around, it doesn't work. We need nature. So when you look at the theory of the commons, you see that the most important thing we should treasure is not our company, not our money, but it's our planet. Within our planet, the first thing that is important is society. And in society, the economy is instrumental, beneficial to people and our planet. That is how it should be. But that it's not how we organized it. This is how we organized it. The economy is the most important thing Then we have people who can have some interest in economy. And then in the end, also there is a planet. This is why we make a mess. If you look at this, you see how confused we are. But this is not a story of doom. I would like to share with you a story of gloom. And the good thing is, or we create a better world we're all longing for, it's the path of revolution, or we are too late, or we stay in our position as a manager and be reactive and too late, and then we will get to the path of evolution. And both brings us a better world. So I'm very optimistic. Only the second path is not that very kind and attractive. The first one is much better. But I don't mind if we choose one or two, we will see each other on the other side. A better world. So let's see what we can do about creating a better world. I'm also a professor at Nyenrode, let's say our local Harvard. I know, it sounds silly. And I'm part of the MBA Executive Leadership Program. I do the same at INSEAD in Fontainebleau. And last time in Fontainebleau, a CEO of a stock-quoted company asked me, Ruud, what is the most important skill of leaders in this new decade? And then he started answering the question himself. Is that transactional leadership, transformational leadership, democratic leadership, servant leadership, contextual leadership? 2 minutes, he continued. And then he had these big eyes and was waiting for my answer. What is the most important skill for leaders in this new decade? And I thought, my God, what can I say to him? And I was thinking and thinking, 10 minutes, 15 seconds, silence, and then I said to him, what about being a better human being? That's it. That's all. So what do we need? What do you need? Maybe a suggestion, a tip to create a better world and make more money. Well, I believe a compass for humanity, a starting point for any organization in this 21st century. What is the compass? I believe the compass might be the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. 17 goals, 169 sub-targets and 230 indicators ecologically, financially and socially to see if a country, a city or a business creates value, moves value or destroys value. A moral compass, an ethical compass. That is what it is. Is it already working? Oh yes, it is working. And pretty good too. This is how they are normally presented. This is how I like to present them. 2 are what I call spiritual targets. This one is very important, number 17, partnership for goals, to create progress in radical dependency. That is difficult for people to work together in radical dependency, but that's what's needed. 5 are ecological targets, goals, related to the planet. 10 are related to people, social goals. And 1 is about work, economic and money. The other 15, 16 are not. What is dominating our mind and world all the time? Work, economic and money. I would like to give you an example how they are used. Since 2008, and in practice from 2015, all countries in the world need to report once a quarter to the United Nations how they relate to these 17 targets. And if they do well, green, not very well, yellow, bad, orange, or horrible, red. So per country we can see if they move, create, or destroy value. That's interesting. We can also see it for cities, if they destroy, move or create value. And I have interesting news for you. Here is how you can see it for cities. So if this becomes more and more available and aware for people, do you think that it will have impact on the value of real estate? Oh yes, it will. Because this is quite independent information, ethical information, not only financially, but also ecologically and social. What are the best cities in the world to live to? But more important for your business is this. At MIT, we have more than 1,000 promovendi working on a report which will be published during this summer. And in this report, we will have 10 the most important sectors in the world related to the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. So then we can see which sectors create value, move or destroy value. Will that have impact on the value of companies or sectors who are related to the stock quote? Oh yes, it will. At Harvard, working together with the London Business School and Yale, they are working 3,000 promovendi on a report which will be published after the summer, where we will see the 1,000 biggest companies stock quoted and how they relate to the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Then we can see, for the biggest companies in the world, from an ethical perspective, if they are good, neutral, or evil. Do you think that will have impact on their value in the stock quote market? Oh yes, it will. So what is interesting for your sector to look in your portfolio or your future investment based on how do they relate to the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, but it is also doable in a more easy way. Relate to the World Overshoot Day, the Earth Overshoot Day. Imagine that you can do an investment, or you have an investment and you want to share with the world, with your customers, your potential customers, the prospects. You want to share with them an opportunity, and you say, this is not only a fantastic building, an office, a home, but if you start living here together, we see to it that the date moves from 29th of July to the 4th of August. Is that a USP? Oh yes, it is. You can start thinking in investing, doing business from the perspective of moving the date and make some more money out of it by creating a better world. I can assure you that your night rest will be much better. And the interesting thing for your sector is that if we look at the World Overshoot Day website, and look for opportunities, not only to invest, but in many other ways to create progress, we see 5 areas where you can invest to create a better world and make money. One of them is invest in cities. That is what you do, so that is a very urgent and relevant sector created or related to move to date. You can also relate it to energy, which is also very much related to your business. One is food, maybe less. The planet, very much urgent and related to your business. And people, from the 5, at least 4 sectors related to move-to-date opportunities is related to your business. Huge opportunity, and find USPs in what you do and how you move to date. Is that interesting? I think it is. But it is more than making money. This is about creating progress for the planet and for society, for people. And there are more than 80,000 businesses who do so. They are called the B Corps. Anybody a certificate as a B Corp? May I see the hands? Nobody? Interesting. There is another last tip I would like to give you how you can look at moving the date. One, when you get home, go to the website, remind the phrase footprint calculator. And this website will ask you 20 questions about your personal life, and that will calculate your personal Earth Overshoot Day. I did it yesterday with a group of teachers, 800, all before May the 1st. So that was a huge discovery for them. And it has impact. So try it at home to find some stimulants or energy or purpose. And I give you just 2 examples, not how important it is, but how easy it is. If we, not 8 billion people, 1 billion people, us, those who have some money, if 1 billion people halve 50% decline of our meat consumption, the date will move 2 weeks. If we decrease our carbon footprint as a family, which is easy to do, it relates to how we go from A to B and how we eat and what we throw away. If we halve our footprint as a society, forget Shell, forget the coal mines in China, just we people. If we halve our footprint, the date will move 3 months to end of October. So what if we start doing this and also related in our business? You start making money out of creating a better world. Download the presentation, you will see a lot of examples how you can do it in your life, but also in your business. I'm getting to a summarization. My God, this is not a nice story. I came to Amsterdam to have a great time. And now I feel a little bit uncomfortable. I feel even a little bit fear. And I know people who read in this word, fuck everything and run. But that's not what we should do. I know also people who read in this word, false evidence appearing real. They create their own truth in their bubble and stick to it with their limited beliefs. That's not what we should do if you take life and your opportunities as an investor serious. What you should read in this word is facing evidence and rise. Start doing something about it. And when you do so, every day, at the breakfast table at home, and it becomes part of you, of what you are, because creating a better world is not a project. You don't do that between Monday and Friday and between 8 and 5. Creating a better world is a mindset. You go to bed with it, and you wake up with it. It is not a choice, it's a way of being. And if it becomes a way of being, you will also start doing it in your business, because then you have no choice, because it's part of you instead of a project. And when you start doing so, you have a fourth interpretation of this world, feeling word. Feeling excited and ready every day to do again and again. Is it doable? How are we doing? Well, we do fine. If you compare it with the, where is it? Here. With the millennial goals from 2000 and the 17 sustainable development goals are a projection, are an actualization of the 10 millennial goals, we did a lot. We reached more than half of the millennial targets. So Homo sapiens, 8 billion people, are doing reasonably well. But my question to you is, should we stop halfway? We are halfway. Why should we stop? Have you ever seen on the Olympics or on a World Championship Usain Bolt stopping the race after 50 meters? Have you ever seen that? No? Have a look.
He's ahead of the field, and Usain Bolt has stopped! Usain Bolt has stopped at the 50-meter line! Oh, that is a pity!
5. Apollo, you're on course. 226 hours to the moon orbit.
Okay, thanks, Houston. But I think we'll be heading back now.
Come again?
Yeah, it was kind of fun, but I think halfway will do. Job done. for man, one giant leap for mankind.
So we got work to do. We are halfway, and the only thing we need to do is to create a better world and make some money out of it. But in this sequence, please. What do you need to become to do so? Not very much. You don't need to be a professor. You don't need a lot of money. If you want to create a better world, the only thing you need to be and to become is the difference you would like to see in the world. Words of Gandhi, many years ago. So the summarization of this short keynote in 10 words of 2 letters is very easy. If it is to be, it is up to me. And me, and me, and we here together in Amsterdam. Thank you very much.